Hello, Drupal friends. Thanks for coming. Today, I'm going to talk to you about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is supporting Drupal contributed module maintainers. I've dropped a link to the chat in, no, I've dropped a link to the slides in chat. I put a few links in the slideshow throughout the slideshow, so you'll probably want to open that slideshow so you can click on the links. And Bob says, hi, Greg. Hi, Bob. First of all, I'm Greg Boggs. You can find me on Drupal Slack in the channel Pound Maintainers. I'm assuming everybody knows how to go to Drupal Slack, but if you don't, you should Google Drupal Slack and join us. Pound Maintainers is where we organize the support initiative and provide support for module maintainers. So what is maintainer support? It's a community organized effort started by Damien McKenna and from Media Current and myself. And the goal is to support module maintainers, improve documentation for maintainers, and release more modules for Drupal 9. Part of the impetus for this initiative is that Drupal 8 is the last rewrite from scratch of Drupal. So if we can get the Drupal 7 modules to Drupal 9, it should be the last time we have to rewrite significant portions of working code in order to stay up to Drupal. In the Drupal 8 to Drupal 9 release cycle, most of the updates required by modules were done through automated tools. The patches were posted in your issue queue. All you had to do was apply it, do a git commit, git push, test everything, and a significant portion of the work is done for you by Drupal.org itself, thanks to contribution from the Drupal Association and the Drupal core team. In addition to providing support via the Slack channel, we also have a monthly or weekly Contrib half-hour meeting. This is an online meeting led and started by Damien, and it has a variety of topics. Maintainer support is just one of the topics that's covered about once a month or so. Other topics include upgrading Drupal, news and events when there are upcoming events and interesting news happening in the Drupal community. And if you attend the meeting, you get contribution credit for that half hour through an issue queue post. And if you either Google Contrib half hour or follow that link there, you can find the latest schedule and when the next meeting is. And I really encourage you all to join and participate. So a big part of what is holding people back in maintaining modules is the idea of ownership. Currently, modules are owned by the person who started the module many years ago. And so that structure somewhat not only limits access through permissions, it also kind of creates a dynamic where the public doesn't feel like they can just jump in and take over a module. But all of the code on Drupal is open source. And if you want to, you can just jump right in and start working on modules. It's as simple as contacting the current maintainer and asking to be added to the team. For some folks, that requires a little bit of establishing trust, doing some work on the module before they give you permission to do commits. But generally, it works pretty well. Now, if the person who originally wrote the module is no longer in the community or not replying to their email, or maybe they've passed away because some of these modules are many years old now, there's an abandoned project takeover process where you can apply to become the owner of a module and the process basically requires that you contact the existing owners, and there's a template that you follow in that process. You contact the owner. I also recommend contacting all recent commit authors on the project, even if recent was 4 or 5 years ago. And then going one step beyond using their contact form on Drupal.org, I actually email any company that I see listed in their user profiles, because sometimes the company might know how to contact the person, or encourage them a little bit to pass over the checkbox for us to be able to maintain a module and push commits. And the email I use for that's pretty simple. I just say I've been working on module X and I'd love to create a new release. I'm part of the Drupal maintainer support team, and can you add me? And this has worked on every module that I've been asked to be added to so far. I think we've only had one module abandoned request go through the official process, and the person woke up mid-process and added us to the project. So. But there's a gotcha in the abandoned module process. And the gotcha is that you have to have the permission to opt in to security coverage for new modules. And the way that you get that is a process that is currently not super active and might take a year or more. You have to create a brand new module from scratch that doesn't exist, and then apply for security coverage, which requires community contribution to review your module and finally approve it, and this can take a very long time. So if you don't already have this permission checkbox, I recommend that you just join us on Slack, and that we work together to take over the abandoned module. But really, I've been successful in contacting previous maintainers and getting that checkbox checked kind of without the formal process. So one of the goals that I mentioned was, how's it going so far? One of the goals I mentioned was maintaining abandoned modules. So far, we're a pretty small team. There's been about 10 or so of us working together total, and we've released about 11 modules. I've also created a backwards compatibility module for Drupal 9 that allows you to install Drupal 8 modules in Drupal 9. But so far, it only fixes one issue, and that issue is that in Drupal 9, we added a line to the .info.yaml file that tells Drupal which version of Drupal the module is compatible with. So the backwards compatibility module just works around that one line of code missing, and if that line of code is missing, Drupal 9 won't install a working Drupal 8 module. So the backwards compatibility module just allows you to work around that so that you can install a Drupal 8 module in Drupal 9. So how's it going so far community-wide? You can see there's about 3,000 or 3,500 totally compatible Drupal 9 modules, and that's the green blob on the chart, I guess you call that. The yellow band is those modules that are compatible, but they're just missing that one line in the info.yaml file that I mentioned. So with the backwards compatibility module, all the modules in green and yellow will work. And then everything else, about looks like almost 4,000 modules work in Drupal 7, but don't yet work in Drupal 9. Let me just take a quick pause here. We've got about 20 minutes left. I'm just going to switch over to my thing and check the chat really quick. Matt Obert says, looks like the XKCD Drupal learning curve. The Drupal learning curve, for those who don't know, is a cliff with little stick figures falling off of it. Super funny. So how can you help? First of all, there are a lot of no-code tasks. The first one is, please do join us in Slack in Pound Maintainers. People drop in there to ask questions about module maintenance, composer issues, that sort of thing, branches. Usually Damien and I Damien or I are there to answer questions, but we do get a lot of super tricky questions that I certainly don't know the answer to. So it's really helpful to have more folks in the room and kind of increase our brain power. Even if all you can do to help is answer a question once in a while, that's super useful. And if you want to get directly involved in kind of picking up an old module, we have a project page on Drupal.org for the Maintainer Initiative project. And we use the issue queue to keep track of modules that we have access to. And I've got a spreadsheet with open to-dos on it, where there are completely working Drupal 8 patches or Drupal 9 patches ready to go, kind of sitting there in the issue queue as a completed patch, and it just needs someone to come along and apply that patch to the code and do a push and a release. So if you can run a patch command and apply the patch command and do a git push, you can actually finish the work of getting Drupal 7 modules to Drupal 9. The next piece is that you can help contact abandoned module owners and get added to the project. Help me send out a few of those emails, see if we can't wake up some folks and get access to a few more modules. And then lastly, there's a lot of patches that are in needs review that are actually ready to go. Great code, works great. And it just needs someone to confirm that it works and set that issue queue to reviewed and tested by the community, or RTBC. That turns it green in the issue queue so that module maintainers can easily see that the patch is ready to go, and it just needs someone to do a commit and a push. And for that, you don't need a development environment. You can go to simplytest.me, select the patch you want to test, and install the module that you're working with, and it will install Drupal for you and give you a working Drupal site with your patch and everything ready to go, so you can make sure it applies and make sure that it actually fixes the problem. And if you get stuck, you can always reach out in Slack, and we're happy to help. And I'm going to go over to, I can't switch tabs on the session without, maybe if I leave my own slideshow, I can go over to, let's see if that works. Nope, that did a new tab. Okay, just 1 second. All right, this will work. Yes. And this is the maintainer support project on Drupal.org. You can see the modules that we've currently done releases for, although that list is out of date. Looks like I need to update that. But if you go to our issue queue, we're keeping track of everything in a spreadsheet. Who has access, what needs to be done on the module. So if you're interested in helping, this is the place to go. You can just jump right into any one of these modules and get commit access and make a release for the module. In almost all of these modules, the code is already written and it's in an issue queue on Drupal.org. It just needs someone to come along and finish up the release. Matt says, simply test me does make it easier to test stuff. And he added the details about the core version requirement to the chat. Does anybody have any questions? And if not, I'm going to go ahead and give you some time back. And thanks for coming. I'll hang out if you think of any questions. And I hope to see you on Slack. and in the contribution half-hour meeting as well. Yes, the link is in the slideshow, but I'll go ahead and add the project to the chat as well. And the question was, is the link to the maintainers project in the slides?